All right, so there we are. We're up and recording. So excited today. I've got somebody other than Randy to banter with here, but this is Paul Butler. Now I met Paul at through Evolved Ballistics. I met and got to know Dale Robinson just online because I bought a proof barrel from him, and he had a lot of information, and got to know him and had the chance to go out and go through Evolved Ballistics. I don't remember the course name, but it was the basic long range hunting. Evolved Ballistics focuses on first, help me out here, Paul. What is it? First round accuracy, something like that.
First round accurate long, or yeah, whatever. Yeah, first
Whatever,
round,
something like that.
Yeah,
you know, there's
long range first shot accuracy. There we go.
That's it. That's it. So, and it was a fantastic course. I had studied a lot and knew a lot of the book learning and that. So not a whole lot of that came new, but I was relatively new shooting. And so by good fortune, I got paired up with Paul. And so Paul was among helping other shooters. Paul was helping me doing the initial shooting. And so I got to know Paul and got to know his background. And ever since that course, I've just kept in contact with Paul. He was gracious enough to jump in and be an admin with the long range shooters. And he's just been a fabulous resource, I think, for anybody who's interested. He's always got a word to share. So we're going to start a series with Paul about practical precision rifle shooting, so positional things. But before we get that rolling, I want people to know who Paul is and kind of have a background with Paul, get the ball rolling. So other than your experience being a trainer at Evolved Ballistics and helping dozens of people, you know, learn how to and actually make those long range shots, right? I mean, I was making those shots. What's that target? 1650?
Yeah, we got one around 1650, and then the flatline range we're out to 1060. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was at the South Hills range, and so I think that target was because it was just short of a mile. It was like 1650.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had my 7 mag, and you know, other than my bad trigger pulls, you know, I was either hitting the target or needing to hold left edge instead of the center target. You know, one of those deals. But it was awesome. So Paul, tell us about your background shooting, where you came from.
Well, first off, I'm a Texas boy, so I grew up hunting. First rifle actually I ever owned was a 270 Winchester. But just did a lot of your basic Texas hunting of shooting a deer at 100 yards at a feeder, and so that's kind of what I grew up with.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there's anything wrong with that. Not at all. But I enjoyed firearms. I enjoyed shooting. And so I also decided after a failed year at college that going to the military might be a better option. So went into the military. I joined to be a sniper. That's the whole reason I went in. And I actually, it's a funny story. I got my IQ, or not my IQ, but they do basically kind of test to kind of see your mental capacity there. And I scored generally.
ASVAB?
Yeah, an ASVAB test. Yeah. And I scored kind of generally high on it. And they're like, you can be whatever you want to be. What do you want to do? I'm like, I want to go into the infantry. They're like, are you serious? You want to go to the infantry? I'm like, yeah, I want to do the infantry. Like, you could be an ammo tech. I'm like, or you could be nuclear bio. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm good. I'm going to the infantry. I wanted to be a sniper. So I joined, and while I was at SOI, the School of Infantry, where I was going to be trained to be a basic infantryman and hopefully later on get to be a sniper, I volunteered to take the screener to become a Recon Marine. And I ended up passing the screener, got chosen, and I thought that was a good path. One was an awesome opportunity. I've heard so much about Recon Marines. I wanted to be one. And I also was still able to go be a sniper, because that's one of the options that they have, is to go to one of those schools as a secondary job.
A secondary within the Recon.
Right. So a reconnaissance would be my first job, and then I'd have a secondary job of being a sniper. So But it took me about 6 years or so, about 5 to 6 years to get over there. I went on 2 deployments before I finally got the opportunity to go. And I went actually I was a West Coast Marine. I was stationed at Camp Pendleton my whole time. But I went to sniper school over on the East Coast, over at Stone Bay, because that was the only time that they had. And I went right before my 3rd deployment when I went to Afghanistan. So went to sniper school, learned a whole lot when I was there, and went straight on to a deployment to basically take everything that I had learned and put it into play. So that was fun. I got to do that. Spent a lot of time in Afghanistan shooting. My favorite weapon while I was there was the 50 cal. I took that guy around. Well, I took half of that guy around. I said it's a heavy rifle. My team leader, or I was a team leader. I carried the upper half, and my assistant team leader, he carried the lower half and all the ammo. So, but anyway, so got done with that. I went on another deployment. Actually got the opportunity to be part of the Force Reconnaissance Company. Became a team leader over there, and didn't get to use my sniping skills or my sniping job so much. As being a team leader is a whole lot of responsibility, especially in the Force community. So I had guys below me that were doing that. But after that deployment, I actually got the opportunity to go to the Urban Sniper course. And at the Urban Sniper course is a course under what used to be known as the Special Operations Training Group. They are now called the Expeditionary Operations Training Group because nobody in the military is special anymore. So we're all just the same. But anyway,
that's funny.
It's a specialized course that we train up the snipers that go on to the Marine Expeditionary Units, the Recon Marines, the Force Recon Marines, and it's designed from 600 and in, and it's all rapid target engagement, improvised position, shooting off of tripods, full kit. Typically, the guys shooting teams, but we don't allow the spotter to call the win for the shooter. Because in a combat situation, or even in a hunting situation where you may be out there alone, you're going to have to make your own win calls. We do allow the spotter to give corrections if missed, or even actually tell him where he's hitting and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was an awesome opportunity. I got to spend my last 4 years in the military there at the schoolhouse. We were creating doctrine, new courses, just always improving everything that we were doing there. And part of that was also the aerial sniper course, or what we call the aerial platform course. People tend to get a misnomer about what aerial sniper is, thinking you're taking 1,000-yard headshots from a helicopter. And so we renamed it the aerial platform course, so that way they don't have any preconceived notions about what we're actually doing. You can get pretty accurate from a helicopter, but it's you're not shooting minute-sized targets at 500 with it. So, but while I was there, I also developed what's known as the Skyhawk rig. It's a aerial sniper rig that connects into, actually the one I have now, it connects into any aircraft that helicopters are typically used to shoot out of, minus the little bird because there's just no space in it, but connects to all the Army, Navy, and the Marine Corps aircraft that guys typically shoot sniper rifles out of for overwatch positions and stuff like that. So
I was watching one of those videos you sent me or posted. That was pretty cool, man. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a blast. Those pilots like to have fun when we're in the cockpit.
Oh yeah, no, the pilots were having fun, and you were having fun. That's like in my bucket list. I don't know how I'm going to make that happen, but maybe I'll have to go out to Texas and do the aerial hog hunting. And
oh, that's definitely a fun time. Well, you know what's actually funny is being an instructor there, I probably actually got to shoot out of the helicopter maybe twice because I'm always behind the person showing.
That's so good. You need to be like, oh, let me get in there. I got to show you how this is done.
Well,
Yeah.
I redeemed myself. We had a qual that we created for the students, and I had never gotten to shoot it. And I was like, well, I'll just try it. I haven't shot out a helicopter in about 3 years. Well, let's try it. And aced the qual on the first time. I was like, oh, I don't know what these students' problem is. It's easy today.
Like, it's too easy. It's too easy. No, that's pretty awesome. And so, so you've got that going. And so how much more did you do in the military before you got out?
That was pretty much it. That was my last stint. The last 4 years I spent as an instructor.
You know what? My question was, who were the kind of guys that you were teaching? Who typically went through the training course? Was it your infantry grunts coming through, or was it other not special operators?
Everyone that came through had to be a sniper, and that was either from their own organization's designation of that. So if you were in the Marine Corps, you had to go through the basic Scout Sniper course.
Okay.
If you were in the Army, you had to go through your Army course, so on and so forth.
So you had multiple branches then coming through your training.
Correct. Yeah, we had guys from MARSOC come through. We had some guys from the Army that wanted to come through, never did. We had some Navy SEALs. Actually, it was pretty cool. We had a couple Navy SEALs come through, and they enjoyed the course so much they sent out an email to the entire West Coast Navy SEAL, all the different. They're like, you guys need to send someone to this course, and by no means is it like me that for the reason. It's just that the course was just that awesome, and guys like Gene Hallenstein and Matt Spiker are the guys that developed that course, and we just kind of always constantly improved it. I mean,
so
never sitting on.
So was that urban sniper? Was that sort of a sounds like a unique schoolhouse then?
Yeah, very unique in the sense that we were always able to change our curriculum, making it the most up to date, and it's also just by nature, the urban warfare is always changing. It's never the same. We kind of got away from. I mean, the basic course at the Marine Corps is very, very good at teaching and doing what they do, but sometimes a lot of the stuff is so controlled that you can't. There's only so much they can learn, and it's a basic course. We were teaching advanced level tactics. We were teaching stuff like quick win and multiple target engagement, and we're actually putting these guys to the test and to time. So all the stuff is reduced size targets at distance. I mean, we're shooting approximately the size of headshots at 400 from kneeling positions, from improvised positions and stuff like that.
What kind of rifles were you seeing come through the course? What calibers?
Well, Marine Corps, having now just adopted the 300 Win Mag, everything we saw through right towards the very end, we started to see some 300 Win Mags, but everything was 308 Winchester. So we all very good at calling win.
yeah. Well, and inside 600 yards, it's not as big of a.
I mean, it's the same caliber. We went through basic sniper course, which was 1,000-yard qualification as well. So we just got very good at 308. I know 308 off the back of my hand. Like, I can tell you the dopes and mills all the way out to 700 because we memorized. It just. So, but yeah, a lot of the M40A6s came through. The scars, the SEALs actually would bring their scars through. But typically we saw the bolt guns. Guys with bolt guns do the best. Every once in a while you have a really good guy that had a pretty accurate gas gun that would do real well. A little slower, but you had a little bit more precision. Marine Corps standard for their gas guns was, I think, 1.5 minutes.
Gee. That's brutal. That's brutal.
So while you can take follow-up shots real quickly, like we always say, you can't miss fast enough. Yeah. So.
Wow. Crazy. All right. So after the military, you got out, and so what have you been doing since?
Well, since then, I actually, right before I was getting out, about a year, I started kind of looking around for a job, and a lot of people go into the military in order so they can get jobs. Well, when you go into the infantry and you go into recon, become a sniper, you have to kind of look for jobs if you want to continue the field. So I call it
creative to bring that skill set into the civilian world.
Yeah. So, but I called a guy named Dale Robinson who owned the company called Evolve Ballistics. And I called him. He didn't answer the first time. I left a message like, hey, I'm looking for a job. I'm an instructor for long range. I didn't tell him a whole lot. And he calls me back and he goes, yeah, well, I'm not really looking for anything right now. I don't know what that would look like. I just don't think that's going to be a fit. And he goes, so what are you, some kind of long range instructor or something? And I said, well, actually, and I kind of gave him my whole background of being a sniper, being an instructor for the urban sniper course and all that stuff. And he goes, well, we could probably use someone like
maybe you. We can work something out.
So I was very blessed to have that opportunity, and Dale has been an amazing person to give me that opportunity. And oh man, I gotta tell you, I thank God every day for this job that I have. It's amazing getting to. I mean, the selling stuff is I'm learning that, but getting to shoot and teach is just a passion of mine, and so I'm getting to do that on a generally regular basis has been awesome. So I've been teaching with that. I also started up my own company, which is originally called D&G Tactical when I was in California, because I started it up while I was still in. But come to find out, there's another D&G Tactical in Texas. So we changed name to Rock Precision. It's R-A-U-C-H, and yes, the true definite or pronunciation in German is Rausch. But my grandparents, their last name was Y-Rock, and his last name was spelled last part of that was spelled R-A-U-C-H. And so I took the rock from there and did Rock Precision. Also turns out that Rausch in German means smoke. Gun smoke, Rausch.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I've been saying it wrong this whole time, but I can switch it to Rock Precision now.
I've stopped correcting people. So you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, that's like me. Do you like Steve or Steve? And I'm like, call me whatever. I've been called much worse.
There you go. So I've been doing that. I originally made the company for the aerial sniper rigs to have a LLC to sell them through. So in case someone fell out of the helicopter and they couldn't sue me. But in all seriousness, though, to be able to sell those. And another thing I noticed when I was at the urban sniper course is I had a lot of students come through with suppressors. Well, actually, everyone shot with suppressors. It was really upsetting when like one person didn't have one, and we actually had to wear ear pro.
Yeah,
so
terrible. Yeah, those brutes. I don't know who doesn't shoot civilized. Muzzle brakes. Who does that?
Horrible. But a lot of guys, they either don't have the money for it or it just really wasn't that big of a thing, and it definitely wasn't issued. But a lot of shooting, when you shoot 20 rounds in about 5 minutes or less, you're going to get some mirage off of your suppressor. Oh yeah, about 17 degrees per round going through on average.
Is it okay? I never put a number to it, but
yeah, so I've heard something like that.
I believe it. Close enough for me.
Yeah. So guys are coming through and they are wrapping their suppressors in cardboard from the MRE boxes, covering that in burlap, and then wrapping it with 550 cord. Now, no one ever said, or no one ever told the Marine that he wasn't good at improvising, but I looked at it and I said, there's got to be a better way. So I looked at a suppressor cover that was already made, and I was like, okay, some basic sewing skills I already have that I did from making the aerial sniper rigs, and I was like, I think I can sew a square. And so I had like mod 1, 2, and 3, and by now I'm probably on like mod 15 of what I'm actually selling now. But I wanted to give something at a low enough cost that your average guy coming out of basic course could afford on Lance Corporal pay. And that's how my suppressor covers really got started, was trying to make.
And so you So you were literally running them through and testing them during the urban sniper course, right?
Yeah, so it was great being able all this free testing and access to ammo and suppressors and guinea pigs and so I developed what I have right now just based off of everything I learned while watching people shoot with suppressor covers, and then really honestly things were going pretty well with that, and then you actually up with the phenomenal idea that boosted all of my sales is the American flag, the freedom wrap.
Oh, I was like, dude, I want something America.
Yeah,
something America. That was my instruction to you. Like, I got a red, white, and blue rifle stock coming in. I want something America.
I had
got
to be
spark on that one.
I looked at all the stuff and I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, and if it does, I think it's going to be ugly. That's what I thought. So I started piecing stuff together, and I got done with the first one, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like this. I like how it looks. It's got a good look to it. And I sent it to you, and immediately other guys in the group were like, oh, man, I want one of those too. And ever since then, it just really took off. And so I guess I have you to thank for that.
Oh, no, you're welcome, man. I'm just happy I have America suppressor cover. I've never owned any other suppressor covers. My suppressor came in after that course, I think. Did I have my suppressor? I can't remember. I don't think I had my suppressor. No, because I remember looking quite jealous at the dude shooting a 338 Lapua with a giant suppressor, thinking, I need that. I'm not civilized. So your suppressor cover is the only one I've ever run. But I got to tell you, I slapped that thing on there, cinch it down. At the PRS matches, it doesn't move on me. It doesn't come off. It's phenomenal. In fact, the America cover was my second one. So I have one that's in multicam, and because I saw your cover at the course, I'm like, I got to have one of those. So I got the multicam one, and then I'm like, okay, I need a America to match my stock, and that's when you knocked out that second one. So depending upon what I'm doing, I switch back and forth, and you cinch that thing down so tight it doesn't move.
Yeah,
it doesn't move. It's awesome.
I got something in the works coming out, and actually the fabric just shipped. But if you have seen, just to give you an idea, if you know what the Warhawks are in World War II, or if you've also seen the new Macmillan stock, the bomber, just kind of picture that onto the suppressor cover.
Oh, and that's cool.
I also got a new way of wrapping everything that I've had just a few, maybe about 2-3 people talking about it slipping. Just certain cans are just super slick. So I have a new one that's coming out called the Pro Series, and it is 100% will not slip no matter what.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so that's coming online. Probably I'll give myself a liberal time frame, but probably about a month or two.
Yeah.
Those are out completely, but it's in the works right now.
No, I may have to get me one of those. At that price point, I'm like, they're like shoes. I can accessorize. Like, what do I feel like today? I feel like America. That's what I'm going with, you know.
You know what? No, in a way, that's kind of what I want to do. I mean, I've been able to really help people to, in a way, express themselves when they go out to a match, because that's one of the things that is generally inexpensive that you can swap out from match to match. I've made one for a guy who I think his sister had breast cancer, and I made a breast cancer awareness one. And I've had other ones that just, they want something. I want this. I want my state flag. And
that was the first request to you after my America. Somebody's like, Texas. The flag looks cool, but I want the Texas flag. That's my nation. Yeah. That was like that was the first request after America. I was dying.
That happened immediately too.
No, it was in the thread. America looks nice, but I need a Texas flag. That's my nation.
That's right.
That's hilarious. No.
So I will work with you on pretty much to try and make it work as much as I can. There's just some things that aren't possible, but yeah. And I do have a coming out soon for those who have nice, distinguished rifles. I'm designing a leather suppressor cover as well.
Oh, there you go. That's cool. Yeah. Well, there's a ton of stuff, and we won't hit them, but if you go to Iraq Precision, spell it like Roush. RAUCH Precision. You've got your tripod leg concealment covers.
Yep.
Keeps them quiet. You can put concealment in it if you have a need for that. Deer haven't been able to spot me very well, so I haven't worried too much at 1,000 yards with deer. But
I designed those actually for snipers specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it'll quiet it down, and your tripod hammock, I use that at the match all the time. That's cool. I throw my Kestrel and Garmin and everything. So I got my America one. But anyhow, check it out. Check out what Paul's got there. Support him. His stuff is great. Great to work with. But so talk about. We're going to do this series on positional shooting, and so what? Just in, we're going to cover it later, but just in a nutshell, kind of what have you found about that people don't understand about positional shooting, and why listening to the series is going to be important for them?
Sure. So the biggest thing I see is guys get into a lot of gear quickly, and they don't really focus on the fundamentals. And
that's me.
And so don't get me wrong, that I have seen good gear make a poor shooter a lot better instantly. But when it comes down to time and stress and putting all those things into play, then all of a sudden everything goes out the door.
Yeah.
Again,
yeah, let me give you my 3-second version, okay? Because I'm a gear guy and a gear junkie, and I want my gear to be good, and it's fun to buy, and it's fun to talk about. It's the sexy part of it, right? Getting a cool suppressor cover. It's the sexy part of it. I'm like you, I sewed up my own bags because I didn't like what was out there. And having a better rifle made me a better shooter. Going from the Savage, even though it shot sub MOA at 1,000 yards with you, right? I still got better because of the rifle. I got better glass. It made me better. But what happened was I saw immediate jumps, but it wasn't because of me. It was a gear jump. And then I just flat plateaued. I saw that when I got on my belly and did a prone stage, I could clean it or miss one or two, right? I was a rock star when I was on my belly, but anything else I just sucked. I'm like, okay, why is that? And so I said, I'm going to start a dry press, dry fire practice, positional stuff. And I've started it, and listening. I've taken a lot of what I learned from you. I mean, just in the few minutes that we were during that training, that you showed a couple things, and just been watching some quality shooters. Frank Galli, Phil Vallejo, right? Guys that are training, guys that know how to explain. Somebody like you, right? And applying that has made immediate gains. Probably just because I now see where my weakness is, and I know, dude, I really stink at that. Getting that position, natural point of aim. It's like, at least I've identified my problems. So that's really why I'm boosting what you're doing, and I completely agree 100%, is just in a month of dry fire practice, I've at least identified which is the first part of it. And so I'm excited about that. But what else would you have to add after the my interruption there?
No, that's fine. No, at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, and I think a lot of the stuff just comes from guys having never been formally trained. I've been blessed enough that I have been formally trained. I didn't come out of my mama's womb knowing how to shoot from improvised positions.
You look like it.
You do it long enough, it becomes second nature. But you have to practice this stuff, and you have to be taught it. And so if I'm going to go and I'm going to teach someone how to do it, I don't expect them to know it. And some guys they don't know what they don't know. And so this series coming up is going to be a great opportunity to learn. There's a lot of just stuff that you can easily implement, and it just takes time to do so. You develop a mental checklist in your head, and eventually it just becomes second nature of, as you said, getting natural point of aim, getting rear elbow support, maximizing surface contact. These are all things we'll talk about, but it's eventually just becomes second nature. And then you can focus on the things that are really important, like wind and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're trying to figure out where to put your rear elbow and you're trying to think about how to get natural point of aim and thinking of your breathing and all this other stuff going on, wind is throwing that in there is being constantly changing, non-deterministic. It just can get overwhelming. And so we want to develop these things and these skill sets, these fundamentals into muscle memory, and then we can move on from there.
And I have to say, just having done the dry press training and those things, I can completely see where my inability to get natural point of aim and proper, really natural point of aim is huge. I've got a pretty decent trigger press, you know, all those things, but not having natural point of aim, I can see how that completely affects my ability to shoot and know if I missed because of the wind. Mm-hmm. Like I thought that I had my reticle set and was shooting until I did it 100 times and watched myself, and I'm like, I really suck at this. Like, okay, I gotta break it down to the basics. I won't say the F word, you know, fundamentals, but what you're saying is exactly true. I didn't know, but as soon as I at least attempted to do it and put myself through a lot of reps, I was like, I totally suck at natural point of aim. And no matter how much I think I'm learning about wind, I could honestly be missing left and right because of natural point of aim. Easily.
Yeah. And
it controls more of my misses than wind does, than missing the wind call. Absolutely.
And what I think a lot of people don't realize is recoil can hide a lot of your mistakes that you're making. It can hide trigger control problems. It can hide your lack of natural point of aim. It can hide muscle tension. It can, all those things recoil can hide. And I'm not one to say you should only dry fire. I mean, that's not going to do you any good, or only shoot. It's a combination of the two and taken into account. And dry practice will only make you a better shooter because it develops muscle memory and it helps you to get rid of bad habits that are typically caused by recoil. And it allows you to watch your crosshairs without the recoil in it. So you can actually see what is happening.
That's what I was just going to say is I'm able to watch myself, and I can see when I think I'm pressing the trigger, my crosshairs are still moving, even when I'm pressing it, right? And it's not, I'm not getting a clean break. I'm moving, and I tend to have a pattern, and I'm figuring out, I figured out that I stop breathing practically once I get in a position, right? It's stupid, but I'm like, and I'm trying to hold it, and I realized, okay, just breathe. You know, the only time you should stop breathing is when you dive underwater, right? All the other time, it's important to keep breathing, and so just breathing and knowing, okay, it's crazy, like you're saying, that natural point of aim, and the way I see it is there's so many variables when you take that shot, and it's a live shot, and what's happening under recoil just disguises those issues. But by eliminating one factor, I can focus on those things. So the dry practice is huge for identifying that and going from there. So what you're saying is all the things that I've recently been realizing and learning, right? And and it comes because I just didn't know. I haven't been through the training, and it's amazing how many times people in videos and everything else say, you know, fundamentals, natural point of aim, you know, proper support, all those things.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear it. I mean, it's said thousands of times, but it wasn't until I said, okay, I'm going to take this serious. I'm going to do this. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I am the biggest believer in learn your stupid fundamentals and you'll improve your shooting. It's just, it's like almost a religious epiphany for me to go from shooting and having fun to I really wanted to shoot well, and I knew I could improve, and the only way was to do more shooting and the dry presses. So You're
pretty much, I explain to everyone that fundamentals, as much as people don't like them and they're not talked a whole lot about, is essentially like the foundation of a house. Foundation of the house doesn't get talked about a whole lot. No one goes there to see the foundation. They want to see upon the foundation. But if you have a bad foundation, what everything's built upon it is not going to stand very, very well. Will break down. And so having a good foundation allows you to build solid skill sets on top of that. So that's just kind of the way I look at it. It's not sexy. It's not the cool thing, but it will, all the top shooters, guarantee you, probably have some dry fire routine, and they have focused at some point in time on the fundamentals and probably continue to come back to it regularly in order to ensure that they're keeping up with it.
Yeah. 3 people that I listened to that talked about the fundamentals, like it's a religion, and maybe I've, become a convert or something. But Frank Galley of Sniper Side keeps coming back to that. And what was really helpful is I listened to Kalen and Phil Vallejo of Gunworks talk about it. And those are 2. I think all 4 of you guys are Marine snipers.
Yeah. Phil, I knew Kalen. I heard of Kalen. I never really was in while he wasn't in when I was in. And then Phil Vallejo was actually in when I was in. He was a basic course instructor while I was an urban course instructor. We were both on the West Coast. So
but listening to those guys and the way that they talk about it and the way that they talked about their own improvement, shooting matches and figuring out what they did right and what they did wrong, none of it comes down to the gun they were shooting or the caliber or anything. None of that comes down to the fun, sexy stuff. Not a bit of it. It's, okay, did I get my natural point of aim? Okay, that's a really unstable position. How do I improve it? Where can I improve on the fundamentals in that shot? Or, a big part of it's the mental game as well. But yeah, so, well, I am looking forward to it. We've pretty much run the course on this one, I think. Appreciate your time. And what's going to be the topic for the first series?
So the first series, we're going to go through the 5 fundamentals of supported shooting. So we'll cover a definition of supported shooting, and we'll cover the first one, which is apply the fundamentals. And that's the 3 fundamentals of shooting, which is bone support, muscle relaxation, and natural point of aim. And we'll probably stay on that topic just for the first series, because ultimately that's the most important, because that is the foundation that this is actually being built upon itself. So that's why it's the first one. So that's the first thing we'll cover, but the other ones will be, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's perfect timing, because I realized part of what I don't know. And so that's why I'm excited about this series, even that first one, because I realized how important it is. I was in a kneeling position, but I had one knee up, but I couldn't actually support my elbow, but I was just kneeling. I don't know why. And then I thought, well, that's weird. And so then I got down on 2 knees and I had better support, right? Because then I had 2 hard points of contact. And so looking forward to that. So everybody needs to check out the next one. And I'll go ahead and shut this one down. But your kids went down. It's probably your bedtime. It's getting to be my bedtime, even though it's only 7 o'clock in Arizona.
Time to go work at Rock Precision.
Rock Precision. Is Rock Precision calling?
Yeah, got to get some work done. Yeah, never ceases.
Sweet hum of the sewing machine. I know all about that. Thunderbird Long Range works into the night quite often. But making the bags. All right, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.